Hello, dear listeners, and welcome once again to In the Library with
Tara!
And I am Ludwig. And today we are delving into books with bad reviews.
'Cause why not?
I like that you did the little pause over my name. I've told you my full name, right? Ludwig van Leichenstraatse Betzelumen Karaffelheimer Buxtehude Schmidt.
Yep. It's about as real as the day I tell people my birthday is.
So yes, you are listening to In the Library with...
We just did this.
I know, but just for our listeners, so I can do it properly.
Tara!
And Adrian. And this is a podcast where we talk about goings-on at the Monroe County Library System in Monroe County, Michigan, and things in the surrounding area.
And it's very specific. Monroe County, Michigan, not New York.
Not New York.
God, that messes us up on Hoopla all the time.
Sure does.
But yeah, books with bad reviews, because there are so many really popular books out there with really bad reviews, which I find fascinating. And it is completely based off your opinion, but I'm just surprised by how many books that are extremely popular that so many people dislike.
Well, anytime anything gets popular, you're going to have haters who pop up.
But you would think if like a book had a ton of bad reviews, if it just like so many people are bashing it, that there wouldn't be people who would love it. Or at least not that many.
That's true.
So.
And so I'm going to start this off with, I've read 2 for this week.
Overachiever.
I know. The first one I read was Fourth Wing, which is a 2023 novel by Rebecca Yarros about a young lady named Violet Soaringale who tries to become a dragon-riding warrior.
As everyone should at one point in their life.
Now, have you read this one?
I have not. And it's very interesting because this one, at least with our library staff here at Bedford, some of our staff love it and some hate it, and there doesn't seem to be an in-between.
That's true. Well, I'll be the in-between. I found parts of it enjoyable and parts of it to be pretty bad.
Did you think it was as bad as the reviews led you to believe?
Okay, so I'm going to start by saying, I did a sort of search for what people disliked about the book. Okay, so some of the problems were that the plot was cliche. Totally fair, it totally is. The romance was the enemies to lover trope with no variation at all. Also, very true.
Yep.
Some of the dialogue, especially internal dialogue by Violet, is very juvenile. Like, she's very kind of petty, unlikable person sometimes.
And that's the main character?
Yeah, it is.
Oof.
That is very true as well. And then certain characters that we're supposed to care when bad things happen to them get no development at all. Like, oh, that's the guy who did that one thing that one time. Oh, they're dead. That's okay. So in those regards, bad reviews are totally fair, because if you're a Fourth Wing listener out there, you got to admit it's kind of cliche.
Now, that book is pretty big, so do you think it would have been worth it to add extra chapters in to be able to do that character development, or do you think it'd be better off, like, eliminating those deaths altogether?
Honestly, I think that in some ways you could have combined a couple of characters, because instead of giving 2 characters one memorable thing apiece, if somebody did 2 memorable things and then something happened, at least you're slightly more invested in them. But I will say one thing that I did appreciate, the world building was actually interesting. Surprising for as cliche as some of the rest of it was, there was an interesting level of world building. There was an interesting level of, here's our history, here's why we do the things we do. Like, I thought that was interesting. That's just me. So I will give it praise where praise is due.
It's a series, right?
Yes.
So would you continue on?
I haven't decided, because there's a lot of books and I'm not super invested. Like, I hate to say it, but I can kind of guess where this whole story is going, because it is very by the numbers, hero's journey stuff. I've been told that the relationship between the main character and, I'm going to spoil it, she gets 2 dragons.
I just want one.
I know. Yeah. I've been told that the relationship between them is interesting, and that might be true.
Her and the dragons?
Yeah. But I'm on the fence about it. If you think I should continue the series, please leave a comment down below.
Well, it does sound like you're not like totally against it. So
Well,
it can't be as bad as the reviews made it out to be then.
if I was to have to rate it like out of 10 stars, I would have given it a 6.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's middle of the road, but it is. I mean, there weren't any major flaws. It's a paint by number story. You swap names, you swap a couple details, and it would be any other fantasy by the number story. But I mean, it was competent. It did what it was supposed to do. I'll give it an extra star for some decent backstory world building. So yeah,
That is my issue with that genre, because when an author does something different, it's so good. But for me, it's hard to find those books that are good because so many of them, like you said, are paint by numbers, which is a great way to describe it. And it's just, I just can't get into them if they're all the same. So if I can find a unique one, I like it. But
you were given a book.
Yep,
that,
your favorite book.
So there's a book that is hotly debated here at the Bedford branch, with most of the staff coming down on the side of it's a bad book.
Oh, not just bad. There's a couple staff members who think it's the worst book ever written.
See, that's not fair. That is not fair. I've read, for the listeners who are not aware, I was a judge for an independent author competition. I will argue that several of the books I had to read to judge them were worse than... What book did you have to read?
Verity by Colleen Hoover. But in your case with those short stories, those aren't like...
No, they were full novels.
They were okay,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
weren't like known authors. Wasn't
No.
this like the first book for a lot of people?
It was.
So like room for improvement, a starting point. Whereas Colleen Hoover is a very popular author.
That's true.
So I personally didn't dislike it as much as you guys. However, there was if I didn't have to read this, I would have put it down immediately. There were multiple chapters where the very first line, I was just like, whoa, okay. Going in this, I'm like, I can't even say them on the podcast.
Yeah.
But you know what? I did take a picture of one of the pages because I thought she wrote in her book the best way to describe her book. There's a quote from the book that says, "It's an okay book. There are words in it. Read it if you want. I'm afraid this particular writing experience will be even worse than I imagined." That is a direct quote from her book. And I think it describes it great. It's not a terrible book. It's interesting. So here's the weird thing. I would consider reading one of her other books, partly because of the popularity, so I have to assume they get better. But also, I didn't dislike her writing style. I thought it was an easy read, the way she writes. It's just, for me, this was like a very, very basic first draft that a publisher, like an editor, never touched. They were just like, you know what, good enough, put your stamp on it. So for anyone who's not familiar with Verity, it's about this author in New York who is a really good author, but like it isn't. Still confused in there. And she gets paid a lot of money to be a ghostwriter for an extremely popular series written by an author called Verity. And she was, the reason she can't finish her series is because she was in a horrible accident and is comatose. So her husband is paying this author to continue the last 2 books of the series. And that is the nicest way I can describe the book.
I think that some of the criticism, especially from the staff here, is a little harsh on the book. I don't think it's the worst book ever written by any stretch of the imagination.
Agreed.
But I do think that it got a little bit overblown. So Verity was published in 2018. It's a psychological thriller novel. But it won Best Romance in 2019.
I should not have.
Yeah, it was a Goodreads Best Romance 2019 and the British Book Award for Page Turner in 2023. And I don't think, like, the romance is not great.
No. And for me, it was not a page turner. I had to push myself to keep turning those pages.
And I know you haven't finished it. And
Yes.
the last several chapters do several Whiplash-style narrative reframings.
Oh, I know how it ends because I read the last chapter.
Okay. Yeah, it does a series of hairpin whiplash. Oh, this is what happened. Oh no, this is what really happened. And I think that maybe if those were staggered out throughout the book more, it would have flowed a little better than the tonal whiplash you get right at the end. I don't know.
Well, the whole book is kind of whiplash. I mean, the very first sentence, like, I hear the crack of his skull before the splattering of blood reaches me. It starts off with her witnessing a dude killed, which I don't know why. And there's so many things in this book that have nothing to do with anything. It's like some of the stuff was like, I don't know if it was added in just because, or like I said, if it was all written in the beginning and the editor was just like, I don't want to bother dealing with this, and just never gave notes. I don't know. You guys read it and tell us what you think. Maybe we're off base.
If you've read Verity, please leave a comment down below telling us your thoughts on the novel. Are we being too harsh on it? Is it deserving of more harshness than we're giving it? Let us know in the comments down below.
I think out of 10, if I'm being generous, I'd give it a 4. Because it's not the worst book I've ever written. And like I said, her writing style is easy to read. So in that respect, I do understand why people like it. It was just the storyline and the random graphicness for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the second one that I read.
Yes.
I'm gonna doubt.
Great reviews.
I'm gonna doubt that many of our listeners are aware of this book, but I read The Crystal Keepers by J.M. Arlen. Mm-hmm. This was a self-published novel from March of 2022.
And it's a juvenile novel, isn't it?
I believe it would be YA. I think, yeah. So this story, The Crystal Keepers, tells the story of Manny, a girl from a magical world where crystals carrying incredible powers once came down from the stars like rain. And a teenager from our world stumbles upon that world by accident.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this book,
yeah,
apparently it didn't sell very well. And part of the bad reviews is that the author took it to social media lamenting that his book didn't do better.
Oh.
And then...
So it wasn't about the book, it was about him?
Sort of. People pointed out a bunch of flaws in the book, and the author, Mr. Arlen, took it very personally, and it started sort of an internet war over the quality of the book. So, having read it, I will say that apparently he wrote the book over the period of 7 years, and he had a number of editors and proofreaders go over it and offer their feedback and suggestions. And I almost feel like there's a little too many cooks spoil the broth going on.
Cooks spoil the broth. I haven't heard that one.
Oh, well. I will say that the problem is this book is hugely uneven. There are pages that read like an amateur wrote them, which I assume is maybe where he started with it. But then there are paragraphs and sections that are incredibly good. And it's like, well, clearly this is where an editor told him to fix something, or this is where a proofreader offered him some decent suggestions. And so the whole thing is just a whiplash of different writing styles, because it'd be like, here's super amateur, this is good, this is amateur, this is good. And the overall story is, do you know what isekai is?
No.
Isekai is a whole genre of where people from our world end up in magical worlds.
Oh, I didn't know that
Like
had a different term.
Yeah, it's a reasonably, I don't want to use the term by the numbers again, but it's a by the numbers isekai story. Like, hey, we're in the magic world now, let's do magic things, that sort of thing.
I feel like there's a lot of genres that could fit that. Like romance really is. A lot of books do the exact same thing and just change the people.
I would guess that you could go through and play Mad Libs with a lot of, especially romance novels, and just you replace, the Duke becomes the CEO, and but in this case, the book is fine. It's not the best book I've ever read. I would give it maybe a 4 if I'm being generous, because there is some good in it. But overall, it's kind of predictable, I don't know. Mr. Arlen, if you're listening, I see some glimpses of decent writing in there, so keep at it. Try again.
Yeah. Send Adrian your next book so he can be the first review.
I'm just going to say, I've read much worse books. Much worse.
I don't think that's a good review. Can you imagine that's like on the back cover? I read much worse.
Okay, bear with me. I'm looking up a book real quick.
The worst book you've ever read?
No, it's not the worst book I've ever read, but it's one that came to my mind immediately. Judy Christenberry's Rent-A-Dad, Heart of the West.
Oh, that was the other option you had for me, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And it's not the worst book I've ever read, probably, but it is the one that immediately popped in my head that book was bad.
Did you finish it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of wish I hadn't. I could have given up like 2 chapters in and been fine, but yeah. Rent-A-Dad by Judy Christenberry. This is Adrian's seal of don't read this. I'm sorry, Judy Christenberry.
The seal of disapproval.
That sounds bad. I feel like I should be trying to encourage people to explore genres and read all variety of things, but some books are...
If you're in the mood for a really bad book, check out any of these.
Check out Rent-A-Dad.
I mean, I will say, so what I love about literature in today's society is there are 1,000,005 books. We have a little bit of everything. And I love that because everybody's brain is a little bit different. Everyone has different things that they enjoy. And so there is something out there for everyone. And just because we dislike something doesn't mean somebody else is going to feel the same. So check out the books if they sound a little interesting. Maybe it will be something that you enjoy. Just because we don't like it doesn't mean you don't have to either.
I am going to say, I just learned apparently they made a movie out of Rent-A-Dad in 2008.
Now you got to watch the movie and compare.
Well, I'm already comparing from the cover. So the plot is that a woman who runs a greeting card business, her fiance died, but now she's a single mother raising a child, and she wins a weekend with Is
this a Hallmark romance?
This was made by Star Media, she wins an auction, a bachelor auction, where she gets a weekend with a hunky cowboy.
That's a thing?
It is weird. In the book.
Okay.
And so this hunky cowboy comes out to be at her farm, and she takes photos of him all weekend, and they fall in love, and it's bad. But
is she a photographer?
I can't put this photo on the screen, I don't think, but they replaced the hunky cowboy with this gentleman.
Like an old dude?
Yeah, he looks like an older... Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, Rent-A-Dad. I thought it was like the name of like a city or something, Rent-A-Dad.
Oh, no. Rent-A-Dad.
Okay. That's weird.
Temporarily loan a father figure.
What was that movie back in the 90s? I think it was Mary-Kate and Ashley. Billboard Dad.
Oh, yeah.
They tried to get him a date.
Well, I'm trying to pull up the original cowboy that was on the cover. See, this is... See, they drastically changed the cowboy.
Yeah. That's, it's not a bad premise, but it's definitely odd. I really hope that's not a real thing where you can rent someone for the weekend.
There's laws about that.
I mean, there should be. I mean, I've heard of those ones where, you can, win, you bid on, a basket and you have, lunch with somebody. Totally get that. That's a great fundraiser. Weekend, a little bit much.
So we're going to turn our gears a little bit. And you wanted to talk about something you can do with your library card.
I wanted to have, a library spotlight time. So with your library card, there are so many different apps and programs you have access to that not everyone knows about. And one of my favorites is a program called Mango. And no, you don't get to eat mangoes. But it is this awesome free resource that will teach you a foreign language. So there are a lot of legit ones on there. My favorite is Pirate. You can learn how to talk like a pirate. But it's a really good program. There's videos on there now. There's recordings. It's broken down into little sections. But it's a great free resource that if you have a library card, you can utilize.
And So that our listeners are aware, you could purchase memberships to Mango Languages,
Ooh.
which start for a single language at $120 a year,
Ooh.
or $200 a year for access to all of their language options. But you are getting it for free through your library membership.
It's a great deal.
You can learn languages such as Brazilian Portuguese, Levantine, Arabic, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Mandarin Chinese, Russian, Latin American Spanish, pirate.
The best one.
I will say it's been a while since I used it, but when I was starting to learn Japanese, I did use Mango to sort of build sort of a foundational knowledge. So I have to assume that they've grown and improved. Like, there's a new feature we were discussing right before we started the podcast, Mango Movies, where they have movies that you can watch in the foreign language where they break down what they're talking about, and you can learn and practice your learning through these movies.
It's just a brilliant idea. So yeah, it's constantly growing, because even when I checked it out like 2 years ago, there were not all of those languages available. So it seems like they're continuously growing and improving. But like I said, we did pirate last year as a joke up at the Cirque desk, and it was a great day. We were talking like a pirate that whole day.
Aye, matey.
You instantly winced. Arg. So yeah, great program. You get to use it for free. Check it out.
And on that note, let's turn our subject to what's coming up at your local library.
Well, coming up at the Erie and Luna Pier branches is Bad Art Show. Forget perfection. It's time to get creative. In this no-pressure art event, families will use an assortment of craft materials to design outrageous pieces of bad art. At the end, we'll display our disaster pieces and vote for the best of the worst. So this will be at the Erie branch on June 30th and at the Luna Pier branch on July 2nd. There is registration, so please go online or give us a call and we'll get you all signed up.
The Bedford Branch Library is pleased to present Intro to Cricket, Cry Cut. I've heard it both ways.
No, you haven't.
That'll be June 28th, 2025 from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. Have you ever been curious about cricket or cry cut machines? Maybe you got one for Christmas and are too scared to take it out of the box. Come learn what the machine can do and practice in cricket cry cut design. Register online.
I never would have pulled that if I would have remembered that's how you say it. You're going to confuse people. It's cricket. Don't listen to Adrian. A continual event that's happening at the Bedford Branch Library is our chess club. This is every Tuesday from 4 to 8 p.m. near the fireplace. It's for all ages and experience levels. So there is a group of regulars who come, but they're always happy to have new people pop in or join the group. So come on out to the Bedford Branch on Tuesdays.
Do you play chess?
No, I've tried to learn a couple times, but it's never stuck.
The Dundee Branch Library is pleased to present Summer Splash Days. The first one will be coming up Thursday, June 26, 2025. These will be taking place on the Dundee Branch lower level patio at 10:30 a.m. Splash pads, water toys, and other water play will be available for our littles to cool down. We will be on the cement patio outside on the lower level. Please bring a towel, sunscreen, and a water bottle if needed. This is for kids age 9 years and under.
Come on out to the Ellis Branch Library for Literacy on the Lawn. This is for ages 3 to 5 on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Literacy on the Lawn will be held at the library lawn for children, but will start inside the children's area. Please come dressed for water and messy play, and we'll be outside unless there's extreme weather. So this is a registered event. So again, give us a call, hop online, register your child who's 3 to 5 years old.
There was a lot of L's going on right there.
Literacy on the lawn.
Literacy on the lawn. Okay, can you say, lovely little lilies line long lake lanes?
Can I read it? Because I don't even know what you said anymore.
That's fine.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
As much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Anyway, Summer Music Series at the Bedford Branch is pleased to be presented on the following dates. We've got June 18th, coming up just around the corner. That'll be Roseweed with the Big Jarowski. That's a food truck. The Big Jarowski, not the Roseweed. That'll be 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And then also, just so that people can be on the lookout, July 16th, we'll be having Jordan Barnett and Mac and Loaf's Grill. And then on July 22nd, we'll have John Roth and Whiskey Jack's BBQ Shake It Up Lemonade. Is that two things or is that all one thing? Because I feel like it should be Whiskey Jack's BBQ and Shake It Up Lemonade. But I feel like you could call it Whiskey Jack's BBQ Shake It Up Lemonade.
I feel like it's two separate ones, maybe owned by the same people.
But what if I want...
Because the Shake It Up Lemonade sounds like the ones that go to the fair.
What if I want the barbecue and the lemonade?
Then you can order both and then combine them on your own, but whoever would do that would be a heathen, so I don't suggest.
I don't need your judgment right now.
Well, that's too bad. You got it.
Bring a lawn chair or blanket and get ready to relax with friends, spend time with family, and have some summer fun. In the case of inclement weather, we will hold a concert in the community room inside the library. Food trucks will be on site for food purchase.
Oh, the food trucks sound so good.
Food truck.
I love food trucks. They need to come to the library just on occasion.
No.
But I want it.
We would like to thank you for tuning in. If there's anything you would like us to talk about, please leave a comment down below. If you're listening on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that ring bell for notifications. You see how quickly I've gotten at this?
You have. But don't forget Spotify.
Oh, what can they do on Spotify?
On Spotify, you can like our page and you can like the individual episode. It'll help us with the algorithm.
So if you are listening over the summer, In the Library is going to be testing out a new format where we will be uploading every 2 weeks instead of every week, in part because of vacations and in part to see if it increases engagement.
Oh, I just thought it was because you didn't like me. Want to spend less time with me.
I mean, yes.
It's about accurate.
That was the unsaid third reason.
So there will be no episode next week, but we will be back.
Yay.
Keep tuned.
And this has been In the Library with
Ta-ra!
And Ludwig.
Bye!
Ludwig Verleisstraatse Betzelumen Gorlaflaheima Buxtehude Schmidt, also known as Adrian.